welcome to my channel. As I'm sure you saw in the title for today's video, this is going to be a little day in the life of how my reading goes and how I squeeze in as much reading time as possible in my normal day-to-day life. Before we get going, I do want to do the disclaimer that my reading does not have to be like your reading, and you do not have to match your reading to my reading. I think if you take multiple months to read one book, you are still a reader. If you read 5 books a month, if you read 30 books a month, there's no value in how many books we read a month. It is just personal to our reading speed, our reading habits, our lifestyle. My hope with this video is that it just gives you more ideas for where you can find places to squeeze reading into your own schedule. Know that there can be a lot of shame, I guess, about reading and how much or how little we read, and I just want this to be a safe space where you don't have to worry about that. And I think there's this weird, connotation that we have with reading in online spaces, where if I said I watched 24 episodes of a TV show in 1 month, nobody would blink an eye at it, but 24 books for some reason triggers something in our brains and it causes bigger feelings. I just wanted to kind of show how I build my day around reading, or how I slip reading into my day. And I tried to pick a day that was pretty typical. I didn't want to pick a day off because obviously that's a totally different vibe. That's a totally different routine. So I tried to pick a day where we still had stuff going on. So I have to go to work in like 45 minutes. We have not a lot of stuff, but we do have plans this afternoon. So I'm just gonna take you along with me and show you how and when and where I read, basically. So I did wake up early this morning like I usually do. I usually wake up between 5 and 5:30. Kind of depends on how many times I hit snooze, and also depends on how many times our geriatric cat lets me hit snooze before she gets angry that I haven't fed her breakfast yet and bullies me out of bed. So you saw what time I got up this morning, and then I make coffee and I settle down, and first thing I do is read. And I read for about an hour this morning before I started getting ready for the day and had to make the school lunches and get everybody out the door. I read about 60 pages in that time. I started on page 72 and I ended on page 132, which is pretty typical for me to read about 60 pages an hour. I think that's my normal my normal reading rate. I have no idea if that's fast or if it's slow. I don't really care if it's fast or if it's slow. That's just my reading speed. I am reading The Cost of Knowing by Brittany Morris. This is a YA speculative contemporary that I pulled out of my TBR jar for this month, and I am liking it, but it is getting a little stagnant. So I'm hoping the character keeps making the same choices over and over again, and his thought process is staying the same the whole time. So I'm hoping that something either happens internally for the character or externally to get us out of that, rhythm. If it continues in this, I might DNF it, mostly because while I really like the writing, I love Brittany Morris's writing, the main character does have a lot of anxiety and panic attacks, and I am finding, especially this morning, that reading about his anxiety is bringing my anxiety up to the surface, and then I start to feel anxious and I start to feel worried, and it's having a physical response in my body, and I just am not, I have enough of my own. I don't need to read a book that's going to manufacture that feeling for me. So we'll see how that continues to go. I'm also reading Unstoppable Us Volume 2 on my Kobo. This is by Yuval Noah Harari, and this is nonfiction for kids. I read volume 1 last year and I absolutely loved it. It was 5 stars. It was fantastic. This one, I'm about 38% of the way in, and the subtitle for this is Why the World Isn't Fair, and I'm not liking this one as much, because while the other one felt really informational and interesting and fun, this one has a much more serious tone, and it's just not as much fun. And especially for a book that is written to engage children, I feel like this one is a lot darker, and I just don't know. So not great, but we're just gonna keep going. So like I said, I have now I have 40 minutes before I need to leave for work. I used to go to the gym in between dropping the kids off at school and going to work, but I stopped doing that because I noticed I was having I had a lot of anxious, buzzy energy after I was done teaching, and I am a big believer in using exercise to like close out that stress cycle. And so I've started going to the gym after work, even if it's a good teaching day, like even if class goes great. I find that working out directly afterwards really helps like break up any leftover energy that I still have. So for now, I'm gonna pop in an audiobook. I'm probably gonna do a little bit of tidying around the house before I have to leave, and I'll just update you as I go. I'm all done with work and I'm at the gym. And I'm gonna go in and work out, clearly. I think I'm gonna do an upper body push day, I think. Because I've been doing a lot of back and a lot of biceps, but I haven't done a lot of shoulders or chest for a while. And then I've been doing a lot of leg days. And I just keep forgetting that I need to do the other part of my body too. So I think that's the plan in the gym. I am gonna keep listening to The Cost of Knowing. But I did listen to a little bit while I was tidying the house real quick before work, and I'm gonna give it maybe 2 more chapters. The chapters are long, but I think I might be DNFing it. I'm gonna listen to it while I'm in the gym. Well, here's what I'll do. I'm gonna listen to it in the gym. However, I'm also a big podcast listener, and almost all of my podcasts drop on Tuesdays. And right now, all those podcasts are more compelling than this book is. So I'm gonna go in with the intent to listen to my audiobook, but if I end up listening to the podcast the whole time, I think that's a sign that I need to DNF the book, because clearly I'm not being called to read it if I'm actively choosing to listen to something else, and I want to do that. Yeah, we'll see. Thoughts and prayers for this book that I actually listen to it while I'm in the gym. I did finish the chapter and then I didn't read another one. So I'm at 154 pages. I feel good calling the DNF. I feel like I gave it a fair shot and it's not bad. It's just Alex's anxiety is triggering my anxiety, and that is not the headspace I want/need to be in this week. So yeah, so that's a DNF. Which means I now need to pick another book, because for once in my life, I do not have 4 other books going. Honestly, this is why I usually have at least 3 books going, because so I don't get slumpy when I DNF a book. I don't know what I want to read. And I know I'm technically reading, I just dusted. Why is there dust? I know I'm technically reading 2 other books, but they're both nonfiction and I'm not totally sold on either of them. So I need another fiction, and I'm not sure what I want to pick up next, if we're being honest. And we are, because that's how this channel works. I don't even know what genre I'm in the mood for, honestly. I think I could pick something else that's on my TBR. I could read, I don't really want to read a graphic novel right now. Unfortunately, that's usually a good bump for me. I do feel being pulled towards nonfiction a lot lately, but if I'm going to pick up a third nonfiction, it needs to be really engaging. Like Raw Dog by Jamie Loftus level of engaging. And I don't know if any of the ones I have on my shelf are gonna be that engaging. Like I could pick up Girly Drinks, which I just got not too long ago, which is about the world history of women and alcohol, which I'm always super interested in, but I haven't read anything by Mallory O'Meara before, and so I just don't know what her writing style is. Yeah, I don't know what her writing style is like, so I just don't know if it's gonna hook me, and I don't really want to try something only for it to be a want book. I want to pick something that I'm fairly certain is going to be a sure thing. I feel like that's asking a lot. I also just got home from the gym. I need to eat lunch because I am hungry. My lunch is in the oven right now. I'm just reheating leftovers from dinner last night, but I need to let it heat up. And so maybe I shouldn't make reading choices on an empty stomach. That might be a bad idea, but I want a book that's just gonna suck me in, and I can be a little obsessed about it, and a book that will make me want to read all the time. And I'm not sure which of the books on my bookshelves are going to fit that requirement. Because do I pick up The Story of Silence, which is on my TBR for this month, and is like a non-binary King Arthur Merlin type story? That could be fun. That could be a good time. It is on my TBR, so that would be nice. I could also pick up A Power Unbound, which is the last book in, what is the series called? It's the series that starts with A Marvelous Light. I don't know if it actually has a series, but like I could read this because this I've been really looking forward to, and it's the last book, and it's a character who I have been dying for his story since he was introduced in book 1. And I think that could be really fun, like historical fantasy romance moment. We are also, my youngest and I are going to go to the library today, and so I could just go up to like the new release shelves and see if anything catches my eye and like do a full mood read. I don't know, so many choices. I definitely think I need to eat first, so let's do that. All right, I'm about to go pick up my youngest from school, but I did end up starting The Oleander Sword by Tasha Suri, which is book 2 in whatever that trilogy is called. And I only read, I think, about 20 pages. I started to get so sleepy that I had to get up and go do something else. And these are books that I only read physically. Did I even try the audiobook for The Jasmine Throne? I can't remember if I tried it and it didn't work and I didn't like it very much, or if they're just not easily accessible, and so I just have to read it with my eyeballs. But I'm reading it with my eyeballs. I think I maybe read 20 pages, but I'm liking it. I loved The Jasmine Throne. It was one of my favorite books that I read last year. So I'm excited to like jump back in and be back with Milini and Priya and see what's up. The prologue was from somebody else's perspective, and then the first chapter was from Milini, and I like Milini, but I love Priya, so excited to jump into her POV. But now I'm gonna pick up my youngest and we're gonna go have a fun out and about kind of afternoon. We're home. You saw my little library haul. I took 0 B-roll because we met up with one of my friends, and so I was occupied the whole time. But we have to leave in 10 minutes to take my middle kid to ballet class, so I'm going to try and read another chapter while I wait for them to finish getting changed.
I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays, way back a year ago. I've changed for the better this time. I thought I would never be fine. I strive just to say I'm alright, and for the first time in a long time I'm alright. I've seen a lot of change, been through a lot of pain. Some things are not the same as they were a year ago, but all will be okay. I move on each and every day. The past is where it stays.
I'm here to close out this little video. I tallied up the pages that I read today. I read 82 pages of The Cost of Knowing before I DNF. I read 18 pages of The Oleander Sword, and I decided not to read it after all because when I read The Jasmine Throne for the first time, that Tasha Story's writing, just my brain soaked it up like a sponge. I loved it so much. And when I was trying to read Oleander Sword today, the writing was bouncing off of my brain in a way that I wasn't retaining anything. So I don't think it's the right book for right now. So I put it back and I'll try it again later. And then I listened to quite a bit of Goblin Mode while I was doing a couple of really random tasks that I've been kind of putting off doing for a while, like cleaning my white shoes and prepping for dinner and driving to get my middle kid from dance class. And so I got about 50 pages of Goblin Mode read via audiobook while doing all of that. I did go and get it from the library, even though I was already listening to it on audio, just because I felt like it was going to be the kind of book to have art in it. So, and I read, and I was right, and it does. And it's a cute little book. I don't think I'm a goblin. Like, the more I get into this and the more she talks about what a goblin is, I don't think I'm a goblin, but I think it's a really cute idea for a very like specific niche kind of book. So I don't hate it. It's a good audiobook to listen to while I'm doing other things. I read about 150 pages today, which I think is pretty typical for my reading speed. I don't know. I don't feel like I spend a lot of my day reading, but it's also not like an insignificant amount. So I don't know. I don't know if this was helpful for anybody. I don't know if this is useful information, but I just thought I would throw it out there so you can kind of see how I fit reading into my day. It is 8:24 right now. My twins are watching an episode of Heartstopper because they decided to rewatch the series, and then they'll go to bed, and then I don't know what I'll do. Usually I would read, but now that I'm in a reading slump, who knows what I'll do. I'm so mad I'm in a reading slump. Like, the whole point of DNFing the cost of knowing is that I knew if I kept forcing myself to read it when I wasn't wanting to read it, that it would put me into a slump, and then the DNFing of it actually put me into a slump. Anyway, so wish me luck while I try to figure out what the heck I'm reading next. I have a bunch of ARCs that my bookseller bestie gave me, and I think I might try a chapter of each of them and then pick one of those to be my next read, but that will be in a different video. But I think that's the next video project idea that I am going to start working on at some point this week, but that's tomorrow Emily's problem. Tonight Emily is just probably going to watch some booktube and then go to bed. But normally I would read for another 30 to 45 minutes, like after I get the twins in bed. So yeah, anyways, if you made it to the end of this video, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me. Like if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!